first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to meet my sister on Christmas after she called CPS? I, male 37, lost my wife 10 years, and it was so devastating for me and my daughter. It's unfortunate, but life goes on no matter what happens. My family knows how much I struggle as a single dad, and my sister doesn't really get it. She had issues with my late wife in the past, but now started helping with my daughter. She redecorated my daughter's room without my consent. She'd insist I let my daughter go spend days at her house, but my daughter isn't comfortable at her home. She then started calling my daughter with another name, and I'm still trying to understand her logic behind this. I told her to stop doing those things and to be respectful and supportive, and she defended herself saying I'm lashing out of grief. I recently started teaching my daughter to do stuff on her own, like brush her hair, /clean her room, /wash her cups, /make sandwiches while I take care of bigger stuff. My sister said that what I'm doing is wrong, that I'm giving her more than she can handle. She's just a kid, and although I told her I'm teaching my daughter to be more independent, she said that I'm clearly doing this for my own benefits and avoiding responsibility. I got into a fight with her about it, told her she has zero say in this. And the next day, a CPS officer came to my house and took a tour around the house. My first thought was, maybe he got the wrong house, until he started reading the report to me saying that I'm never home, and that I make my daughter do things that aren't her responsibility, neglecting her education. By the way, she's homeschooled, and I'm not taking care of basic hygiene and whatnot. I told the officer my story and explained that I'm adapting as a single parent, and he proceeded to ask my daughter some questions. It was clearly a false report. However, I was told that I will have a permanent record with CPS. I was shaken up by this. I told my family about it, and my younger sister told me that my sister was the one who called CPS after we had a big argument. I was so mad. I confronted her after she hit herself, called her immature and stupid to pull this crap. She's in her 40s, and that she's no longer my sister. Then cut contact. It's been months, and now my dad started bringing her up, knowing how uncomfortable I was. He said that my sister feels sorry for what she did and wanted to talk things out on Christmas dinner. But I said no. He and the others insisted, saying that I should be the bigger person. The family will be incomplete without me and my daughter on Christmas, saying I refuse to be a civil adult to solve the issue that is dividing the family. I yelled and said that my daughter and I don't have to go after what she did. Doesn't matter if she has issues on her own and didn't mean it and was just concerned. What on earth was she so concerned about? They demanded that I at least let my daughter go be with them and her auntie on Christmas. Edit, I don't want my daughter to go, and I plan on going to my in-laws instead. I want to talk to her about it and see what she wants to do. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Calling CPS just because you're angry is wrong. She took time away from children who are being neglected and need help to get back at you. Not wanting to have her around your family is a normal response. She proved herself to be a danger to your family. She called CPS because she didn't think I was handling my responsibilities as a parent and doing everything wrong. My daughter doesn't have to go sit at the same table with her aunt to cause this issue and put us in this terrible situation. I've been told that people are being ridiculous calling CPS for ridiculous reasons, but it's huge when it's family who makes the call. So this really hurt me, and now I know what type of person my sister is. Seems like she's trying to take over being mom. This was a nuclear option. Don't let your daughter around her. Of course you are not an a-hole. You sound like a good dad doing your best in a really tough situation. Her behavior sounds absolutely bizarre, like she's trying to take over as your daughter's mother now that your wife has passed away. Calling her by another name and then calling CPS when that didn't work. Was she hoping to get custody? How old is your daughter? She's 8, and she has absolutely no problem taking part of chores, but I keep it simple and also make sure she focuses on studying. I even have a schedule for her as a way to remember doing things on time, and also to make sure everything is organized. She helped me make the schedule, so that was fun activity for both of us. Not an a-hole. She literally tried to rip your child away from you to be petty. That's not an oops situation. I have a daughter the same age as OP, and anyone who ever tried to come between us would be forever dead to me, along with anyone who defended them. I could absolutely never forgive in this situation. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for making my daughters trade rooms? I have 3 daughters, Amelia, 18, Paige, 16, and Grace, 14. The way our house is laid out is the second floor has 3 bedrooms and the bottom floor has 1. The master, Amelia's room, and Grace's room are all on the second floor. Then Paige's bedroom is on the first floor. When we moved into the house, the girls were 8, 6, and 4, and my husband and I weren't comfortable with having any of the girls on the first floor where we can see or hear them. So we made a deal with Paige that if she shares a room with Grace until she's 10, she can have the downstairs room, the biggest, when she's 10, or if she wanted to have her own room right away, she could have Amelia's room, a little more than half the size of the downstairs room. Then Amelia would get the downstairs room when she turns 10. Paige chose to share a room with Grace and get the big room at 10. For Paige's 10th birthday, we painted her room and bought all new furniture, and she decorated her room and moved in a couple weeks later. Amelia was jealous that she had the smallest room in the house when both her sisters had big rooms, but we explained that they'd earned the big rooms by sharing a room for 4 years, and she agreed. Now to the present, Amelia's friend Rose, 17, was just kicked out of her parents' house because she recently found out that she's pregnant. We let her stay with us and she stayed in Amelia's room with Amelia. The girls started complaining that their room is too small for 2 people, and Amelia asked for either Grace's room or Paige's room. I decided to give them Paige's room because it has more privacy and a bigger closet. When we told Paige that she was moving into Amelia's room because Amelia's room was too small for Amelia and Rose, she threw a temper tantrum. She screamed at us that her stuff won't fit in Amelia's room, and it's not fair that she's losing her room because Rose got pregnant when she's not even family. She packed a bag and went to stay with my sister. The next day, my sister called me and started yelling at me for breaking my deal with Paige and stealing her room. She told me if I really need somewhere for Rose to stay, I need to get my crap out of my garage apartment and give that to the girl, instead of stealing my daughter's bedroom. There is a studio apartment above our garage, but we've used it for storage since we got here. Plus, it doesn't have heating or AC, and I wouldn't want Rose to have to live there. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for stealing my daughter's room? Edit. I wanted to add that Rose isn't a stranger. She's been friends with Amelia since 1st grade. She went on vacations with us. She was at our house more than hers before she got kicked out. She's a 4th daughter to me. You're the a-hole. Plain and simple. Don't make the girl move out of her room because someone who's not family decided to get knocked up. Not only not family, but the friend of the sister that had her own room this whole time. You're the a-hole. The garage apartment is obviously the answer here if you're planning on Rose staying with you for the long term. You can get a small, safe heating/AC unit relatively cheap. You don't really expect anyone else to have to share a room with an infant when there is an actual apartment available. Yes, this. Eventually your oldest daughter Amelia will start complaining about living with a newborn, and then you will have 2 daughters mad at you. It is your house, but she's your middle daughter, and at 16, you could have talked to her first before making a decision for her. Fix the garage, OP. You're the a-hole. Paige is 100% correct. She should not be punished because some random teen got pregnant. The next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I don't let my kids' PS5 go over to their dad's house? I am only conflicted on this because I know my kids are much better off here than at their dad's. So, X34 male and I 32 female share 2 kids. Our daughter is 12 and our son is 10. X and I mostly split parenting time. Technically, I get them more because he works out of town every Thursday and Friday, and he can take them for parenting time then, or most weekends because he stays 3 to 4 days most of the time. So X and I don't really co-parent, we parallel parent, which means we each have our own rules and we don't really come together. It has been this way since the divorce. He's remarried and has 3 step-kids, 13, 11, and 10, and a 2-year-old with his wife. His wife isn't actually bad, and I can talk to her easier at times. But my issue with her has always been she expects me to get her kids stuff too, and I think it's a little much. On to the issue. I bought my kids a PS5 for Christmas. It's actually going to be our console since I game too, but it'll be mostly theirs. X knows I have it here for them because he was trying to get one the day I got it. He then says that I should let the kids bring it to their house so it can be shared with his step-kids who desperately want one too. I told him no, because I was buying it for my kids and me, and not for his family. He said I already got them Animal Crossing Switches this year, and that now they're getting a PS5, and it's so much more than they could afford or get for the other kids in their home. I told him I have no obligation to get his household gifts. His wife then says that she knows I got it for my kids, but it would really make her kids Christmas too if they could play with it sometimes. I don't think I need to do it, but maybe I'm being unfair? It just feels like the expectation will then be on me to keep getting stuff for both households and their family, when I'm a single mom and they're a two-parent family, which seems really unfair. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You don't owe their kids or their family anything. You bought the console for you to use as well as your kids. If they want their kids to have a PS5, they should get them a PS5. I know they can be hard to get right now, but it's really not your problem. If your kids took it to their house and it broke, who would be getting a new one? It's just a headache all around. I agree. Who'd get a new one after wear and tear, or if it breaks? It's best to avoid unnecessary drama and strain in relationships. Not the a-hole. That's an expensive, non-portable console that seems like it's doomed to get broken by being transported back and forth and played on by other kids as well. I feel like X would just go, too much effort to move it out of here. We should leave it here so it doesn't get broken. OP, it is yours also. Leave it at your house. Info. Do you honestly think if something happened to it at their dad's house, he would or could pay to fix it? Nope. It would be too bad. So sad. And you would say I took the risk in the first place. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for suing to overturn my daughter's adoption? I was in a horrible relationship with a woman I'll call Christy. She was a very toxic person, and at best, a borderline alcoholic. I hate to armchair diagnose, but she is spot on for borderline personality disorder. Constant paranoia about everyone and everything, wild mood swings. I realized I had a problem and needed to cut ties with her to move on and fix myself. And that's when she announced that she was pregnant. She stopped drinking while pregnant, but her behavior didn't really change. If anything, it got worse. I blocked her for a few months after there was a particularly bad incident that made me relapse, but I had every intention of being there for my child and made sure she knew that. When she would have been 8 months pregnant, a mutual friend called me and said she had had a stillbirth. I had no reason to not believe that friend, but I just couldn't risk seeing her again and getting sucked back in, so I texted her condolences and have kept her blocked in every way that I could since. 8 years have passed. I married my wife 2 years ago, we have a child, and I just passed 7 years sober. I went back to visit my parents last July, same town, and saw some old friends, some of whom would have known Christy. One mentioned that Christy's daughter just had her postponed birthday party. Her 8th birthday party. That is, this kid would have had the exact due date as Christy's stillbirth. That is, she had my child. Christy married some guy, had 2 more children, and had him illegally adopt my daughter. I now want to sue her to overturn the adoption because she clearly had someone lie to me, so I wouldn't try fighting for my parental rights. I'm devastated that she stole so much time from me, and I want my child to know her family and likely be in a safer, more stable home. My mother's telling me not to because people can change, and it would be confusing for her at this point, but I think I should. You're the a-hole / everyone sucks here. You blocked your pregnant ex, didn't question or even inquire about a funeral, death certificate, check upon her. Really, you should have done a quick visit regardless of if you dislike her or not, or anything like that, which is completely your fault to be honest. Who only texts condolences about the death of their child to the mother? Your daughter, which you don't even know if she's actually yours, is 8 years old and you've never been in her life. You really don't know anything about their current family life. And just assume that uprooting your estranged daughter who has never met you and doesn't know you at all, and forcing her to live with you, your wife and your kid, is somehow more stable than where she is currently. Have you even talked to your wife about this as well? My man, this is so far above Reddit's pay grade. It's not even funny. You need a therapist and a lawyer, not a bunch of, almost certainly, teenagers and 20-somethings who are bored at home during the school break. Everyone sucks here. I want my child to know her family and likely be in a safer, more stable home. That likely is carrying a lot of weight here. You want to fight to have your parental rights acknowledged, assuming you are in fact the father, and at least establish some level of visitation. That's entirely justified. But demanding that an 8-year-old be torn from the only family she's ever known, without firm evidence that you're actually rescuing her from something terrible, is hardly going to make things more stable for her. You would be the a-hole if you tried to sue her. Yes, she's an a-hole for her part in this, but you made a choice to block her everywhere and not verify the stillbirth. You took the easy way out by not contacting. By suing now, you would screw up your child. We don't know she has a bad home life. Your baby mama could have turned her life around as well after getting a bit of responsibility. You have 2 possible positive moves. 1, move on and forget. Or 2, keep an eye from the distance through friends and things. You never know if later on she will want a relationship and come looking. Be ready for that. Not that Opie doesn't have some blame. Both had problems and were toxic. He recognized that, and even though he wanted distance from her, he said he'd be there for the child. Who could ever think that someone would fake the death of a child, be it miscarriage or stillbirth? And the idea of expecting a funeral or death certificate probably never even occurred.